Okay, Stalker Cards. I know, they kind of suck sometimes. I know they do. They can get really frustrating. Don't get frustrated with them. Just be like, okay, whatever, and keep doing what you're doing. I tend to think of it, if you're getting a card or a string of cards a lot, frequently in a period of time, I tend to think of it as a theme. And themes just mean we're going through this kind of weird theme, whether we like the theme of what we're going through or not. And that's our theme. And they keep showing up to remind you you're in that theme. It's not that you're not doing the work. It has nothing to do with that. You're just in a theme. And do your best not to get frustrated with it. I find, because we tend to think too, like only stalker cards are like the bad cards, not good cards. But we get stalked by good cards too. And so start paying attention to both of them. Which is the good stalker cards and which are the kind of challenging stalker cards. I try not to think of them as bad cards. I think of them as challengers. And I think a lot of that comes out of working with the Frauds Fairy Oracle, where you have a whole section called challengers that, this is an example of a challenger. Yeah, he looks challenging, doesn't he? And yes, he's one of my current ones. One thing too, I find when something like this comes up, where's the other one that started? I know I pulled him. Sort of, what is it? Nope. There he is. Come here. So, when these two guys started showing up, probably about the beginning of the year, end of last year, I knew that I was moving out of an integration mode and into a change modality. And these are the two things we're really working with that are the challengers right now that I need to deal with or am dealing with. And they haven't actually popped up in a couple months, but these were the two dudes who all of a sudden started popping up. And one thing I'll do, if I get like Luasis or, Habia, what I tend to do also is be like, okay, say I got Habia. Gotcha. So I'll be like, what do I need to know about him? And so I pulled the fawn. I need to be more playful. I need to, in conjunction with this card, be more playful, be more free in what I'm doing, not so binding. It's one thing I do with these, because when you got a challenger card, sometimes it can be hard to know where the energy is that you need to bring in. So, say this is your daily card, and you're like, oh, gee, I got this dude again for the billionth time. And you can be like, okay, so what do I need to know about you? What do I need to know about Gabia? It's the fawn. The fawn would signify play, joy, having some fun time, just being a little bit more, woo, let's have fun, not so, my God, I got a challenger card. That's one way to deal with it. If you're not sure how to deal with it, pull another card. It's really a bummer when you pull another card and you get another challenger. That's happened to me more than once. I'm like, really? This is unhelpful. Really? I just find. And don't try and shuffle it back. Don't just set them out and be like, okay, whatever. Because I feel like the more you try not to deal with it, the more it comes up, the longer that theme that you may not be enjoying stays with you. And you're like, please stop, please make it stop. So you want to look at that too. How can you change the energy of what you're going through with that card, especially a challenger? I find the ones that aren't so much challenger cards are easier to understand and deal with. The challenger ones, it's because they're, challenging. That's why they're called challengers. They push buttons and they make you grow. In that it's a good thing, although sometimes it can be kind of annoying. So that's one way to deal with like these, you know, these kind of cards that are got a dark edge to it. They're pushing your buttons. You really aren't enjoying them. And you want them to go away now. You're like, go away now. But I also want you to look for the good things, the good stalkers, as you're going through. Okay, that works. The good things. So I'm going to take an old, what I did, I went through my Fraud's Fairy and I pulled out a bunch of cards that have been stalkers or are current stalkers. These are former stalkers. This one started it all. Ultimate stalker card for me, Death. Could not get away from it. It was also my death card year. Woot! Could not get away from it. I would shuffle this card back into the deck. I didn't want to deal with it. Then I finally let it sit out for 24 hours. Change happened, and it was a good thing. These are the theme that came out of allowing the change of death in the rebirth. And these were all very much cards that came up over and over again. And why death, the rebirth, was the main challenger. All of these cards, even with some of their very gentleness, could be very difficult. The first one is Lulu. Very, very prominent theme at one point in time. She's about giving, and giving fully and giving freely and receiving. And for a long while, she was all about just give. And so I did, and things changed, and things were good. Gave freely. And all of a sudden, she flipped over one day, which meant pull back. And I had to stop and think, because I almost went to activate her. Because if I get something in this card, this is probably the only deck I used reversals in. I went to activate her. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that has a different meaning. I need to pull back. So lots and lots of gifts in my rebirth. I needed to give, and give till maybe just hurt just a little. Not a lot. Not hurting yourself. Not. So, but I give a lot. I also kept getting Mick the Myomancer. Signs everywhere. Pay attention. Signs are coming. Signs are there. Follow the signs. Mick's leaving them for you everywhere. And he did. I paid attention. I got my signs. I gave. I started engaging with death for my rebirth. And Nellis started coming in. Nellis the Alchemist. She's also part of the death motif of rebirth, of things becoming unstuck, of things becoming to move faster and faster, and being willing to step into that alchemical energy that Nellis had going for me. Bam. And the Oakman. Excuse me. Oakman was very much like steady, grounded, steady, grounded, steady, grounded, steady, grounded. Keep going. Don't have to be fast. Nellis is going to get you going fast enough. You don't need to go any faster than Nellis is telling you to go. So these all were a broad theme for about a year to 2 years. Death definitely just was more of a 1 year thing. But these 4 cards were about a 2 year theme. And while they're not particularly challenger cards, they brought in a lot of energy that needed to come in and work with. So that's what I did. I worked with them. And as you move out of the mage change modality, it'll start to morph and working with integration more than actual change. So here's a current theme that I have going on currently that I am working with right now. This other one was about a couple years ago. And believe me, these cards were everywhere. And then gone. Whoop. Every once in a while, someone will pop up. But for the most part, huge new theme came in. And it started with the appearance of these guys. And I knew when these 2 challengers popped up that I was heading into change modality again after a couple of years of working with integration and learning how things worked and activating all that change that this series gave me. So I knew I hit a change modality when these guys started coming up. I'm like, okay, so where is that going? Where is that going with, you know, these fears of mine, these challengers that are there? So, and he's this one too, not necessarily a challenger, but I find, oh, that gnome for me is kind of elusive. He's also a trickster card, so that could be part of why he's so stinking elusive. But it's been a theme that's been kind of interweaving. He pops in and out. But he's part, for me, he may not be a formal challenger, but he feels like one, because I just haven't got a good feel for this card yet. So here's, kind of the 3 challengers that are popping up. And these are the ways they're being dealt with. And so I want you to look for the other cards that are becoming themes in how you're dealing with things, because these are not challengers. These are my way out of working with, oh, that gnome who I don't quite understand, and the other 2 dudes that are definitely challengers. So I've got Penelope Dreamweaver. How am I weaving my dreams? How am I working them? How do I bring them into the mainstream of my life and make them part of the flow? It has become a theme of really just creating more and more flows and weaving my dreams into reality, along with the piper, who just listening and paying attention. What is the song I am hearing? What do I hear? What's going on? What are the signs in my life? And since I'm very much a hearer, one of my clairs is here, the piper makes a lot of sense for me. And I got Iris of the Rainbow, which is a healing modality of working with deep water healing. And so I got these 3 Stalker cards, and then I got these 3 Stalker cards. And they're all working together to make my life better. And that's what I think one of the things you really got to see, especially when it's like, wrong hand. These guys who are kind of and scary and uncomfortable and are pushing your boundaries and your buttons. That you got to remember, it's not that you're not doing the work. It's a reminder you're in a theme, and look for the supporter theme within the challenger theme. So because you usually tend to have both happening at the same time. And if you don't look for this theme feels really overwhelming. And if you're not picking out a theme yet, if you've just, started saying, these guys just started popping up, pull a card and say, what energy do I need to bring in? And sometimes it is a bummer, because I have at times pulled another challenger card. You're like, oh my God, really? Just walk away from it. Just leave it out and walk away. Be like, because I find the more you just be like, okay, whatever, 24 hours, and then you can move it if you want. A lot of times I find after 24 hours, I've forgotten about it and sit it out for, the rest of the week. And I find that just being willing to let those energies engage with your life, to interact with it, even if it's not on an active level, tends to help resolve it faster than pretending it does not exist and shuffling it back in. So just hang in there. Don't freak out over them. I find the more you freak out of them, the more they get to you. Figure out what they mean to you. Figure out how they use it. The Tarot, currently 8 of Swords, is my Stalker card. I chose to use the Fraud's Fairy because this is what I pull for weekly energy, and I've been pulling it for years as a weekly energy of what I want to bring in. Often I do a week energy and then I do weekend energy just to create some kind of delineation since I work from home. That's how I work with them. I just see where they take me. I work with them. I try not to work against them. And when they keep coming up, I just see it as this is a theme that's continuing. And sometimes the themes will be really, really long. And sometimes they'll go away for a little while and come back. Doesn't mean you haven't done the work. Doesn't mean you haven't succeeded in what you need to do. It just means you're still in that theme and you need to keep working on it. Not a big deal. well, it may feel like a big deal at the time, but you know what I'm saying. You know, right? It's not the end of the world to have cards keep coming up and coming up even though you're doing the work. Don't get frustrated with them. Don't get mad at them. Just be like, okay, I hear it. I'm still here. You know, still have work to do in this. And just start asking, how can I more effectively do this work? And yeah, don't think of how to get out of it. Just think, okay, so we got this. How can I more effectively do what I'm doing? Solace. Solace is about opening to source, of realizing you are never alone, because he's always there with you. So if you're freaking out, just say, hey, Solace. S-O-L-U-S, Solace, only one meaning is the meaning of his name. Say, hey, help me out. And that's what he does. He's a connector. He is part of the larger entities of the singers and the connectors. So, yeah, you start freaking out. Say, Solace, hey, help me out here. So, I hope that was helpful. If you guys got questions, definitely post them below, and I will do my best to answer them. But that's how I work with Stalker cards, and dealing with especially the challenging ones that you just kind of wish would go away, or you feel that you've been doing the work and you're not getting your confirmation card. That are really nice. Everyone loves a good confirmation card. But for sometimes though, you will have very long themes of a topic, and it's okay. They happen, and they'll happen again, just in a different manner. And one day you're going to be pulling the cards, all of a sudden you're going to notice that the old stalkers have new stalkers, and you'll have a completely new set of stalking cards instead of your old ones. They will change. Believe me, they will. I promise. Because I know I've been there, I've done that. I've shuffled back in, it didn't work. Just let it start to percolate, even if it's not on an active level yet. When you're ready to go active, you'll go active. Okay. Bye-bye.